We talked on Friday, Dominique and I, about the Micah Parsons situation and just how simple and obvious it is that you're going to have to pay him. I think the analogy that Dominique made that was perfect is there are a lot of cars that you might be able to haggle and get a deal on, but a Lamborghini is not one of them. And Micah Parsons is a Lamborghini. I think we all agree that he is a Lamborghini. I believe since Dominique and I recorded that podcast, Micah Parsons requested a trade. I've seen some people refer to it as a trade demand. Now, only basketball players can demand trades. Football players just ask for them. Okay? That's all they can really do. And he asked for a trade. And I don't know too much about this place. Honestly, I'm not even fully assured that this place exists. But I reckon that when people first get to hell, they ask for ice water all the time before people tell them that the bar is closed. They ain't got that down there, right? It's not happening. He can ask for this trade all he wants. He will be a Dallas Cowboy for the next 3 years unless he's really willing to pass up some checks. And as far as I can recall, only 2 people have factual, really been willing to pass up checks in similar situations. One of them is Sean Gilbert, and that was 30 years ago. The other one is Le'Veon Bell, and if you follow him on Twitter, it's clear that boy dumb as a sack of hammers. Now, I have generally thought that the idea of sitting out and missing those checks is really not the worst idea in the world because you're missing checks, but you're also missing like hits and damage to your body. But them boys love playing football, man. They want to get out there and play football. I assure you that when Micah Parsons is at these practices that he goes to because he kind of got to, he wants to bet. He wants to play. He wants to get out there. And so, okay, you want to be traded. Jerry's not trading you. Let's just get this out of the way right now. Jerry Jones is not trading you, period. But again, worst he can do is say no. Doesn't really hurt you to ask. But that's where we've gotten in this. Now, we also learned, I think, some interesting things. And I think we may have known this before we had Dominique on the last time. And I don't remember how in depth we talked about this. But Jerry Jones says that he often negotiates deals directly with players without their agents there. And what seems to be a sticking point in this negotiation is that Jerry felt like he had a deal, and then David Mulgeta got involved, Micah Parsons' agent, and now all of a sudden, he ain't got no deal, and Jerry refuses to move off of the previous deal. Now, I have been in a very similar situation where you felt like, for whatever reason, a deal was predicated on some agreed upon fact, whatever it happens to be, and then something happens, and now you guys have a disagreement about whether that fact was truly agreed upon, and now it gets tense, right? I know how that goes. I also know that Jerry know that was some snake shit. And the reason I know that Jerry knows that's some snake shit is that Jerry knows what an agent is for. Or if nothing else, Jerry knows that even if he negotiates this deal directly with the player still going to have to pay the agent the 3%, right? He has an agent for a reason. And that reason is very simple, to talk to you. That's what he's there for. It actually reminded me of something, and I don't know if anybody saw this a few weeks ago, maybe a few months ago, but Cameron and Chad Johnson had some sort of beef online. It didn't seem to be some sort of major beef, but it was something about some money or whatever. And Cam was making a point about how he tried to cut some deal with Chad, and Chad told him, either talk to my agent or I got to talk to my agent. And Cam's thing was, I guess that's just how y'all do over there. Like, I handle deals myself. I guess you football players, y'all got to run it through other people, which he wasn't fully offering his shade, but certainly partially, right? Oh, you can't handle your own business. But the truth is, yes, they do go get their agents. That is what they do. Athlete game is a little bit different in the sense that somebody like Cam came up getting money his own ways, all kinds of ways, right? He's the one that's going to stand in front of you and negotiate the deal, because in truth with rap, especially at the era in which he came up. Yeah, there were agents to get the job done, but a lot of the cats that was doing it was just street cats, right? There's no reason to believe that you necessarily needed to get somebody with this like ascribed level of expertise. I've told you guys this all the time about being an agent, right? I'm not saying everybody can be an agent, but anybody can be an agent. As long as you got the stomach, that's 90% of the job, maybe. It's just the stomach to stand there and hold out for the money that you want and an innate sense of timing and leverage. You can do that. But football world is different in the sense that these cats got people like rap don't have coaches, I think is the best way to put it, right? There's not a culture of somebody like being there as an advisor or whatever capacity to help guide you and get you through the stuff and to tell you, let me take care of this. All you got to do is play ball. You know, there are levels of the entertainment game where that's like that, but the rap, especially that era of the rap game, not quite so much, right? Anyway, I say that to say, in that world, yes, Cameron, you get your agent and the agent does the stuff. That's how it goes over there. Okay. And Jerry knows that's how it goes over there. And any attempt to try to negotiate a deal without an agent there is an attempt to save some money, right? It's an attempt to get over. Maybe the NFL need what they call it. I see it on Law and Order all the time. Miranda. You got to be like, well, look, you want us to get your agent? They ain't even got to do that. But you got to be able to be like, hey, you know, I'm going to call I think I'd like to call an agent. And if you ain't even got an agent, one is provided to you free of charge, right? They need an NFL constitution. Now, granted, this wouldn't be the first, this may be Amendment 38 on this constitution that would be necessary to protect these boys, but maybe that's what they need. I don't know. But Jerry knew he was on some bullshit when he did that. There's no way around that. He fully understands it. And the idea that you're going to try to stand on it, what it does is make you seem like an unserious person. And once it gets to the place where you got CD Lamb sending tweets out saying the same old, you had DeMarcus Lawrence leaving the Cowboys talking about, hey, man, ain't nobody going to win no Super Bowl over here. It's one thing when those of us on the outside talk about how unserious you are. And by the way, I'm not one of those people, generally speaking. I actually think that throughout these 30 years since they won a Super Bowl, Jerry has largely gotten a bad rap, right? His ego has gotten in the way of things. But like, for example, and this is outside of the 30 years. If Jerry didn't run Jimmy Johnson off, Jimmy Johnson was going to have to go, right? He was burning out. He was burning them out. And I would like to make the point that it's not like Jimmy Johnson went to the Dolphins and won 4 Super Bowls. Just throwing it out there, right? I think Jerry got a little bit of a bad rap, though he was absolutely complicit in the way that it played out. I think they've had some bad luck at points, but I think they've overall put together very strong rosters. They've been in an interesting space for the last, it's almost 20 years now, of having very good but flawed quarterbacks that had some ceiling issues that could make it like, hey, I don't know if you can get there with that guy. But they've also had very good quarterbacks, one of whom was undrafted and the other one was drafted in the 4th round. Like they've done things correctly. They've had great players in this stretch. They've had great rosters in this stretch. They got Micah Parsons with the number 12 pick. Other people had the opportunity to get that dude. Okay? You know, there's a whole list of these things that we could go through as it relates to him. But now you're looking like a clown, not just a person who likes attention, because we know this about Jerry, that he likes the attention. And if any of us had to guess, he's going to sign Micah Parsons to a really big deal right before training camp because, in part, Jerry likes the attention. But this looks like clown behavior. And your players think it looks like clown behavior. And some players who have been like venerated veterans for you are looking at your operation and saying, hey, man, I need to get out of here because I ain't a loser. And this looked like a losing operation. That's what you're putting together. That's what you have. And to me, that is fundamentally what it came down to in this situation, right? You look like a loser right now. And you can't do this with this player. You can kind of do it with CD Lamb, right? Who's probably a top 3 or 4 receiver in the league, but you can kind of do it with him. I don't think he really went clown with Dak, or it doesn't feel like he went clown with Dak. And the reason is very simple because Dak bought that bread. Now, Ryan, you're a Saints fan, not a Cowboys fan, right? All right, you Louisiana boys could go in either direction. Um, Yep, and Dak, I-10, right? He's of your world also. But we know Dak about getting every single one of them dies. I don't think anybody fully gets the leverage and timing. Dak is what if Kirk Cousins was just a little bit better? Right. Dak has Dak has what Kirk Cousins had, though, the willingness to take a short deal to get that money. Right? And he's done this at every time. But when it goes long with Dak, on our side, we are absolutely saying, hey, man, you might as well just go ahead and take care of this. But you can make an argument on Jerry's side, but that Dak drives a hard bargain, right? Right? And it's like, oh, okay, cool. I can halfway get it. We don't even think that's necessarily what's happening here, in large part because Micah Parsons was willing to hear him out when he had these conversations. Right. Right. Let me tell you who would have had word the first with Jerry in March under those same circumstances. Dak Prescott. No way in the world. They'd be like, hey, Dak, can you come to the office for a second? Oh, we can come talk in my agent's office. What you think? What you think? How'd you like to do that? I ain't be talking to you. What are you talking about? And I bet you Jerry tried it once and then and then realized, no, 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 this ain't gonna happen here. And so, look, everything anybody wants to say about the Cowboys, yeah, yeah, I get you. All of that seems fair. Look, you know why I'm here. The Cowboys are great for business, but I'm telling you, this one may wind up being a bit of an inflection point. We talked about it last show, where now Jerry's starting to seem old. Now he's starting to seem ridiculous inside his own house. That No, 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 baby, you can't have that.